Hello and welcome to Clone Wars Weekly, the only show that broadcasts directly from the Jundland Wastes, where some creepy hermit is yelling at Tusken Raiders. I am your host, Ronin, with...
Oh, was that me?
Yes, your Q.
Wait,
I'm Q!
I'm the third guy.
And joining us today is our very special guest, David Gremillion, author of the Star Wars Awakening series of fan novels.
Hi guys, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
Thank you.
For the people that don't know about your stuff, how about you brief us on your
Give us the load.
material?
Well, what I've done is I created 2 self-published novels, which means that they don't have the official blessing of Lucas or slash Disney yet. There's always that angle. And what I did essentially was I wrote my version of the Star Wars prequels. You can call it a rewrite, a reboot, remake, whatever. It doesn't matter what you want to call it. It's my version of, okay, if I were going to do the prequels, this is what I would do. And they turned into full-length novels. I mean, they're roughly the size of Heir to the Empire of that series. And I've got the first 2 episodes out. Episode 1 is Star Wars Awakening, and Episode 2 is Star Wars Split Horizons. And people have said that they love the first one. I mean, Episode 1, they just love it to death. And then they came back and read Episode 2, and I've heard people say that Episode 2 blows away Episode 1. They absolutely love the second novel, and that's where Anakin starts to go dark in a big way, and the Clone Wars really start to escalate into the full blown out, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. It really takes a really good look at the descent of Anakin, not just because, oh, I love Padme, therefore I have to go dark, but it's more about what Anakin really wants and what his goal is. It's not ultimate power, it's power, well, no spoilers. But it's not as simple as, Palpatine screaming unlimited power.
Right.
There's more to Anakin than that, and I really dive deep into that in Episode 2. And Episode 3 is in production, supposed to come out, cross my fingers, knock on wood, sometime in 2014.
Okay. So it's fan fiction, basically.
It is. The difference is...
Yeah, sorry.
Big difference
that I will apologize because that term has a very negative connotation to most people.
Blame Corey!
Yes,
We put all blame on Corey.
But
fan fiction, when you read it, most of them are short stories, 5,000 to 20,000 words, and mostly filled with lots of explosions and people dying and lightsaber fights. What I've done, Star Wars Awakening is about 22 chapters. It's 78,000 words. Split Horizons is 26 chapters, I believe, and 95,000 words.
Okay.
So they are full-blown out novels.
Right.
Technically, yes, they are fan fiction because they haven't been published yet, but I'm still working on getting them published, and in the meantime, until that happens, they're free to read. So you can download them to your phone, you can download them to your computer, you can look at it right now if you go to smashwords.com while you're listening to the podcast and just start reading. And if they do get published, well, then I'm going to charge you money for it. So, get it while it's free.
And of course, we'll include links in the description below.
No, absolutely.
So anyway, let's get on to some of today's topics.
Why'd you stutter? Topics? What was that?
It seems to creep everyone out for some reason.
Creeps me out.
Let
me introduce
on the topic
let me do. What?
Went all Max Headroom there for a minute.
See, I always interrupt him when he's doing this. It's like the thing.
That's what Quentin does as well. But
Let me
introduce the topic.
I'm trying not to do that.
yeah.
That's why he's been so quiet.
On the topic of the Star Wars prequels, as you were discussing,
God.
personally, I feel that the Clone Wars oftentimes did better than the prequels in terms of writing and storytelling. What do you guys think? Did it succeed as a whole, or are there times where it's even worse? And is it really like kid material compared to what the saga, as people love and have hold so dearly to?
Well, the way I looked at the Clone Wars, and here's my disclaimer: I've watched bits and pieces of it, and I watched most of season 5, and of course, I played the lightsaber game.
I have as
you
well.
You put that thing on Jedi Master, man, you work up a sweat. All right, I mean that's wow. But the series as a whole, it started off very kid friendly because that's who the audience was kind of geared toward, and then much like the Harry Potter series, like the Batman series, it kind of grows darker as the audience grows with the series, which worked for them. As far as storytelling goes, no, stop. I already know you're thinking it. You're thinking it. I'm not a prequel hater.
I know.
Don't. You're thinking it.
I might be thinking it.
But I was disappointed. I'll still watch it. I still own it on DVD. In fact, I was telling the wife last week that I wanted to watch 1, 2, and 3 again.
Really?
So I don't hate them. I was just disappointed.
Okay.
I thought as far as storytelling goes, there are so many gaps and there's so many questions. You walk out of the movie theater with questions that they never explored, never answered, never dived into, because you only have so much time. And Lucas wanted to touch on so many different things. We got to make Anakin special. We got to make the war look good. We got to know what the Jedi Council's doing. We got to know what Palpatine's up to. There are so many things to touch on that it's like skipping a rock on a lake.
Mm-hmm.
You can only touch on those things. You can't dive into them, which is where the EU comes in. Then you have books, you have comics, you have the Clone Wars, where when you have 100 episodes spread over 4 or 5 seasons, you can spend a significant 4, 5, 6 episode arc discussing certain topics.
So let me get this straight.
You have the time to do that.
You qualify the Clone Wars as the EU.
I qualify anything non-movie as the EU.
I find that interesting. What do you guys think about that?
Ronin's giving his seal of I find that interesting. What that he always does normally. Kind of scary.
But I've always been more in the boat that considers Clone Wars in the main canon alongside the movies. The books and novels are all EU, but with the Clone Wars, it was clear they had a head above established canon and the expanded universe. They'd stayed very true to the movies, and therefore like to discount some of the prior developed things.
Going along those lines also, I mean, yes, Karen Travis's work is wonderful, but I wouldn't call that canon.
Right.
I would call the Clone Wars TV series more toward canon than anything else. However, then we have the 2003 series done by Gennady. I'm not going to pronounce the last name because I always butcher it. But Gennady's series was beloved, and it was canon, and it was great, and now Lucas is doing everything to completely wipe it out of history. I mean, I don't even think you can find the DVDs anymore, except for a few copies left on Amazon. So canon can change at any time. The only thing that I consider to be actual, factual canon is the movies, and anything else is just part of the EU and subject to change at any time.
Interesting thoughts.
Not that I meant to totally steer us
No,
off
yeah, I
topic
know.
there,
It's true, but it's true that the movies ultimately hold the canon torch. I've just found that the Clone Wars seem to be a lot more closer to established canon in the movies, and gets that ability anyway. But oh well. Different perspectives here, and I like to hear that. On the topic of the movies, let's go into something a bit sillier. Why did
Echo?
Echo wasn't in the movies?
That's what
Yes, he
you
was.
think. He could have been in Attack of the Clones among those bajillions of clones just standing there going,
That's true.
you know those clones?
Oh yeah, he was the guy with the weapon. Yeah, that one guy with the gun. Yeah. Oh,
No,
yeah,
wait, he wouldn't have
stood
had a
out.
gun yet because those were all like clone troopers and he was like a
Target
cadet.
He could have
practice.
been one of those fetuses there.
That's lovely.
Okay, go movie. So the lighter topic,
Yes,
right?
on the lighter topic. Why do so many people hate Jar Jar? This is going to be a fun one.
Really asking me this?
Because Batil here despises Jar Jar.
Let me explain. First of all, I gotta say I did prefer him more in the movies than I did in the Clone Wars. For one reason, he doesn't appear as much in the movies as he does in the.
He only appeared
Clone Wars.
like what, twice or 3 times in the Clone Wars?
Yeah, but those times were just increasingly annoying more than like in the movie. I don't know. I could tolerate him because he was the comedy relief to the point where he wasn't okay, he was over the top. But in the Clone Wars, they sort of up his idiocy level, like where everything he does ends in tragic failure. Like
I didn't know that was even possible to up his idiocy.
Every move he takes, like crushing the ship, nearly getting C-3PO crushed, falling off a cliff, pretending to be a Jedi, nearly getting Padme and everybody else killed.
Well,
I could go
how
on.
about the time when he helped save Ryloth by going to Toydaria?
It was all Bail Organa.
That was Echo.
It was all Bail Organa.
Okay, well, see, what I don't understand is people oftentimes hate him because they see him as a kiddie character, when that has already been done in Star Wars. I mean, like Ewoks, heck, even C-3PO.
I don't like them either.
When he was first
Good
introduced,
for them too.
he's not exactly what you'd call a normal character. He's there for comedy relief.
From my perspective, coming as a PT disappointee, not a hater, but it was that he was supposed to play this major role. Clearly, because he's in the movie, he's 12 minutes into the movie, he's there in Phantom Menace all the way to the end. I mean, he's right there yelling Yahoo when Padme holds up the crystal
and
ball.
C-3PO was right there at the beginning of A New Hope.
Right, but here's the thing. Jar Jar, it's like Lucas tried to make him such a major character role.
So was 3PO.
Only...
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Only his major role was slapstick comedy. That was his major role throughout Phantom Menace. Whereas 3PO, he was designed to be that Laurel and Hardy type of character that you're supposed to laugh at, and it's like, okay, clearly he's not meant for something more. But when you watch Phantom Menace, Jar Jar, I mean, he spends more time on screen than Anakin.
You know, that's actually true.
So clearly, we're supposed to follow or get a little more invested in Jar Jar than Anakin, if you go by screen time. Whereas 3PO, you can clearly tell he's meant to be the annoying, prissy sidekick of a character, and so we know to automatically put him off to the side. With Jar Jar, you're never really quite sure in the Phantom Menace if he's going to be this big, major... Oh, okay, so he knows Boss Nass, so... Oh, no, he was exiled. Okay, all right, so we're going to bring him back, and he's going to be the connection, right? He's going to bridge the gap from the Naboo to... No, Padme does that. Okay, so... Oh, he's a general now. Okay, for some reason, he's a general. No, he runs away and surrenders.
That's actually a very interesting observation.
So you keep waiting for him to be a big character. Now, the Ewoks, we don't see the Ewoks until the end of Return of the Jedi, and the role that they play, the one role that they play, is to eat stormtroopers' brains. And they do that rather well, I would say, because you see the helmets there at the end. That's all the Ewoks did was help to overthrow the Empire. That's their one role.
One thing that we could discuss would be the Ewoks TV show, but I'd rather not go there.
Oh no, Chief Trooper. It's perfect.
Let's not go there again.
That makes Jar Jar look like a mastermind, honestly.
Yeah, let's start delving into caravans of courage.
Oh my goodness, no.
So it was. If you're going to put somebody in a major role like that, if you're going to thrust them out there and say, all right, this guy's here at the beginning, he meets Jedi Knights, he goes on these grand adventures with them. For some strange reason, they take him to a desert planet, even though he's an underwater creature.
He's not a creature, he's a sentient being. Well, that's really that is sort of difficult to tell at times, though.
The expectation of Jar Jar was that, okay, he's going to do something to save the day.
And he never really did.
Or to play a significant role, and he never really did. That's why, if you compare him to the Ewoks, it's like, okay, they had their one role and they did it. Jar Jar...
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that you don't have Jar Jar in a very major role in your fan fiction.
Yeah, I don't even mention Gungans at all. That's somebody once, I think it was Ben Hart from the SW Underworld, suggested that I should have Gungans mentioned in a blurb that there was a Gungan massacre. And that was one of the many crimes that leads the Republic toward becoming the Empire. And I was like, no, I'm not even going to do that. I'll have a little Qui-Gon in there as a nod toward the Phantom Menace. No Gungans whatsoever, because they didn't. There was no point. There was no... Okay, we're getting off the...
As much as I like alien species, seeing Gungans in such a major role is never really great for me, so...
Yeah, and if they're going to play a major role, they need to play a major role. But Jar Jar never did. It would have been great if Padme tried pleading with Boss Nass and Boss Nass said, "Absolutely not, I'm not helping you." And Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon tried, and they couldn't do it. And then Jar Jar steps up.
But
That
might have helped
that would
his
have been
character actually quite a bit.
that way would have been redeeming, and it would have shown a little bit of him going, a little bit of growth.
Well, I
for Jar
personally
Jar.
do not hate Jar
Now,
Jar as
what's
much as seemingly everyone else here. I can certainly understand what everyone's getting at here.
Now you see, if they had replaced C-3PO's role with HK for the movies, I think
all of the main characters
I
would
think that would have gone a completely
would
different
have
way.
been 18% more awesome. Like, can you imagine HK in there with the Gungan just blowing them up, just ripping them down? Like, it'd be awesome. It'd be like what should have happened in Shadow Warrior. Stuff.
You didn't see that episode, right, David?
No,
Okay.
somehow I missed that one.
Ooh, I gotta tell you about this. This one was good, right? Because Grievous is there, right? He's going in. He's on Naboo. He's trying to do some invasion thing, and just
He actually
Tarple.
did something, actually accomplish something.
I'm getting to that part.
Oh, boy.
So he's in there talking to Jar Jar. Jar Jar's pretending to
Senator.
be his big
Yeah.
boss general guy for some reason. But anyway, so I'm getting to the best part now. So he's talking to Grievous. Grievous throws a hissy fit, chases Jar Jar out the door of the ship, and Grievous runs out after him. And all these Gungans and Tarpals, they just swarm around Grievous, and Grievous whips out his lightsabers. What do you think is going to happen? He's going to be awesome, right? No, the Gungans, including Jar Jar, kick Grievous's ass with blue balls. They take Grievous's ass down. They blow him to pieces.
Wait a
He's
minute.
literally immobilized.
And the only
with
way that
balls and
Dooku
sticks.
can possibly salvage the situation is to grab Anakin and have a hostage change because Padme is so stupid that she throws away.
She gives up the biggest war criminal during the Clone Wars
Oh.
to save Anakin.
So let me get this straight.
Okay.
The Gungans,
The Gungans,
who could not defeat a
Right.
Trade Federation army,
including Jar Jar. Remember, he was in there
Oh
throwing
yeah, and
balls too.
Tarpals
so,
dies.
were able to take down Grievous.
They annihilated him. He was just like a scrap pile.
See,
I
like,
think he even lost like an
Tarpals
arm or
did
something.
die, supposedly, to stop him there, but...
That's
But
a
see-
shame because I actually liked Tarpals a little.
But see, what the Gungans did, each one ran up to him, like one at a time, mind you. They have an army, and one at a time
But they
tried
took
to
him
attack
down with
him
blue
a stick.
balls.
Now, instead of just swarming him, why they didn't do that, I don't know. And what the hell was Grievous doing? He could have just done his little lightsaber twirly thing, and that would have been it. But,
If you could see me right now, you would see me putting this duct tape around my head so that when my head explodes from the sheer idiocy of this, that it doesn't get all over my TV and my computer.
Oh, it was bad. It was
That's.
bad.
I mean, is this the same Grievous that you guys saw the
It's
2003 series?
It's not that grievous.
This is not that Grievous. This
I
is
mean,
not that Grievous.
That Grievous. Oh my God, that Grievous! And people ask me, it's like, oh well, he was only out for a couple episodes. What was he so awesome about? Because for the first time ever, like in any game, any book, anywhere, we finally had a character that struck fear into the Jedi. Finally! Oh my God! Now he's gonna put those Jedi in their place and they're gonna freak out and they're not gonna know what to do with him and he's gonna be totally awesome. And now Gungans can.
No, but even Jar Jar there was clear shots of Jar Jar throwing the balls that actually
See,
took
I'm not the
Grievous
type of
down
guy that
too.
likes
Oh
the
my
2003 microseries Grievous. I actually quite dislike him. So, because he is basically activating God mode and beating them up, even though he has no force powers whatsoever.
Love that one scene when they're all in the elevator. He's just like running down the wall, and then they all look at him.
He
That
shoots
one
a
clone
rocket
decides to shoot
inside
off
of the
a
closed
rocket
elevator.
launcher in the elevator.
But
What was that?
anyway, I have my
But
own
anyways,
issues with the
so
fact that
what
that
were we
series
talking
is
about?
so overpowered. However, there should be at least a fine balance between Shadow Warrior Grievous and that one. Why not make him a clever
That was something.
general, someone who actually has battle tactics and doesn't get beaten up by Gungans?
By Jar Jar.
Oh well.
By Jar Jar with blue balls.
Speaking of over the topness, let's go over to the Force Unleashed games. David, have you played them?
I actually have played a bit of them. Yes, I don't think I've. Which one didn't I finish? I don't think I finished the
There's
original.
been a bit
but
of
I finished the second
speculation
one.
recently as to whether they actually qualify as canon. I know they are listed as such, though they are EU nonetheless. I just don't see it because the Micro Series level over-the-topness was crazy as well, and you see that as well in The Force Unleashed. Does that make it canon in a universe where Darth Vader rarely ever uses the Force or whatnot?
Well, here's my issue, and people will always point to Starkiller. Oh my God, Starkiller! He's the
I
best
hate
ever.
him.
He's totally awesome. He's this. He's that. In fact, I run an annual Star Wars March Madness and a tournament. I have 16 Jedi versus 16 Sith, and the best Sith squares off against the best Jedi. And I
Good.
make it a point to never include Starkiller, simply because. Yes, you're right. There are limits to what you can do. Now, one Sith taking on 4 or 5 Jedi. Okay, you can
I still don't
kind
really
of work that
appreciate
in.
that one scene with
but-
Palpatine, and he totally wipes out some of the best council members in a couple seconds.
Let's look, man. If you want to get into that, I will. We're gonna need more time on the show for that. If you want to get into that. Oh, hey, look, he killed a guy. Maybe I should swing. Oh, he killed the other guy. I should probably swing my lights. Hey, he killed a third. Oh, now I'm dead. Oh, yeah, I probably should swing my lightsaber at Palpatine at some point. Anyway, there's over the topness for the sake of of character development. That's the first time we saw Grievous is when he took out the
And
Shaggy.
I agree, that was better than the
Shaggy
Force
Jedi.
Unleashed.
I call him Shaggy. Yeah, but that's to set up Grievous as wow, he's really something. Starkiller, I mean, he's obliterating stormtroopers with the Force, and he's pulling down Star Destroyers out of orbit. I mean,
You know why they're doing this?
Come on,
Because it's a game,
really? Come
and
on.
they're trying to appeal to the action fans of video games, which is a shame because there's so much more you can do within video games. I remember my favorite Star Wars video game ever is not Star Wars Battlefront, as some people might suspect. It would be the Bounty Hunter game with Jango Fett. Because that one actually, it put a lot more work into your character and developing this little known antagonist from the Attack of the Clones. And really, it makes him a lot better. And it really had its clever storytelling in that, so I'm quite fond of it. The problem with the game most people end up having is it's insanely difficult. Difficulty curve. It's crazy.
I've still never finished it, and I have it for 2 systems.
I've beaten it recently, but it's not an easy game. Anyway. And more as a result of bad controls rather than actual difficulty, though there's tons of that. But the point being, video games are a good storytelling medium that most people don't understand. However, The Force Unleashed doesn't do much to show that.
Yeah, a lot of what I point to as far as a good action video game is the Batman Arkham trilogy. Now those and everybody has the same reaction, like, "Oh my God, that's so awesome!" Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's quite a bit of action in those games.
The storytelling is bad.
Exactly. It has a great blend of both. It has the twists and turns. It's the same thing as BioShock Infinite. I mean,
I love that game.
The twists and turns that go with that, and the setting and the characters, and you learn so much as you go along. Plus, you're out there. Okay, should I use the rocket launcher on this guy? Let's switch over to the machine gun, shotgun, and all that fun stuff. And there's action to go with it, and the numbers back it up. The Force Unleashed 2, I think, only sold about 2.5 million copies worldwide, and Batman Arkham Asylum by itself sold over 7 million.
The Force Unleashed 2 not getting very high sales, I'm pretty sure they're not going to do a third one. It's really hard to tell, especially now that EA is taking control, but I'm pretty sure they won't do a third one. And if that's the case, what does that mean for the Force Unleashed series? Is it canon, or are they just going to pretend this never happened?
I don't know if they'll pretend it never happened, but they'll certainly say that it's like the Kevin Anderson series of books. It's nice to read, but let's not take too much out of it.
You could actually argue that The Force Unleashed is sort of a game that does tell a canon story, just told through a very video game aspect. Maybe it didn't really happen that way, and it was just based off of legends or something, but that's pretty much giving it too much credit, I think.
It could be, and that's time we'll have to tell. And if they do reboot the series or extend it, we'll have to see what they come up with. You know, a lot of the reason why people like the Kingdom Hearts games is when you look at them when the preview first came out, we're like, really? Disney characters in an RPG? Or, I mean, this is what we're going with? Jack Skellington? But then you play it, and it mixes a good blend of story with action. And that's one of the reasons why people like Empire Strikes Back so much, is story with action. And the reason why some people don't like the PT so much is because you get action with with Jar Jar and a 9-year-old
trilogy
Anakin.
I still count as canon, but they just did do a bunch of failure in the terms of story. No offense. Anyway.
Oh, you mean like when Anakin was all like calling Padme sand and saying we loved her and stuff? Like,
you mean the whole point when Padme was saying, I can't possibly love you, but hold on, let me put this black leather corset on while I'm telling you that I can't love you. I mean, no, I'm a senator. Apparently senators are forbidden to... I never understood why Padme couldn't...
Yeah.
I never understood that. I'm a senator. We can't love. Wow, I need to introduce you to John Edwards.
Yeah.
You know.
Anyway.
Woo.
Exactly.
Has a wife.
Yeah, but remember they had to adopt a baby. They never had like an actual child themselves.
Well, actually, what's going to happen? Ooh, no, episode 3, no spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers.
You see, they had to adopt. They did not have biological children.
Well, actually,
what was that mentioned in the movie?
That was But
I don't remember that.
It's not in the movies, but believe me, I've done so much research because the Organas are going to play a big role in my episode 3. So I had to do an extensive amount of looking into what is she like. She's actually in minor spoiler, I guess, kind of, sort of. She's actually going to be very close to Padme in my novel
would be actually
as kind of like a
because...
midwife. She's going to help her give birth to the twins, and I mean, if you haven't read my novels,
understood.
Real quick, because I know time is a factor. Padme is not a queen from Naboo; she's a senator from Alderaan. So we spend quite a bit more time on Alderaan in episode 1 than we have at any other point in the series. Because
that's actually
we really
a clever idea
sucks.
because we're supposed to care a lot for Alderaan in episode 4, and maybe this would also make a lot more sense as to why Bail Organa's wife would be the natural choice for adopting Leia.
Exactly. What I love to do is I wanted to make the PT connect stronger with the OT, so that when Alderaan is destroyed by Tarkin, you feel a stronger connection because Padme's from there, and the person that's getting in her way a lot of the times is General Tarkin, who also runs the planetary forces around Alderaan. So it centers around there quite a bit. So naturally, Senator Padme from Alderaan would have a lot to do with the Organas because they're the viceroys. So to have her wife, Bail's wife, become the midwife for Padme, it makes for a great connection. And
we're reaching the point of the show where I'm going to have to say, let's wrap this up, shall we? Because we are.
I'm not doing the laugh.
I'm sorry for that voice. It's sort of my shtick by now. But yes, we are reaching the closing of our podcast for this week. I must thank you for joining us, David. We had a great time, and wow, the way I said that made it sound like I pre-recorded. It's like, thank you for joining us today, David Gremillion. Thank you.
No, I'm glad to be here. This is a great show. I'm glad to be on.
Yay! See,
Aww.
Ronin people.
Thank you once
like
again, though, because
I don't know to what extent though, but there are people.
I feel special.
Anyway, I hope none of you people take offense to anything that we've said here. It's all personal opinion, you know.
Except for the parts that were actually fact.
Yes, actually.
We would love to address you.
and crush your opinions like.
Wait, we're not supposed to say that till they comment.
What the hell was that? It was like a menagerie of.
Let's do it again.
Rhythmic failures. Wait, I gotta like send you the file. But if you're the only one doing it now.
It's so awkward. I'm the only one.
I know.